Why did this not make Tom Clancy roll in his grave, but this did? It's because this felt more realistic than this. And in this video, I'm going to explain why. So dudes, I'm G and I yap about Rainbow Six. Many years ago, I consulted a Mexico expert to explain what was going on in Operation Outbreak.
We have a very serious problem with Mexico. Sorry, New Mexico, not Old Mexico. Very hard to tell the difference. They're bringing in crime, they're bringing in zombies, they're bringing in aliens. Alien zombies. Illegal alien zombies. I've assigned a special task force to deal with this tragic situation. I have a great relationship with the LGBTQ plus community, so I have decided to call in Team Rainbow. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to eat my cheeseburger.
Something that I've been yapping about for a long time is the idea that Siege could effectively do a co-op PvE style mode, and the most common response I hear is, well, we already did Extraction, that was a huge disaster. But nobody talks about what came before Extraction, and that was a mode during 2019 that replaced your typical map that you would usually get for a new content season for Siege at the time, and that was Operation Outbreak. This mode added Lion and Finka, which Lion was pretty freaking broken when he got added to the multiplayer component, but the reason that he was broken in multiplayer was because Finka and Lion were designed for PvE. So they were trying to mix and match design approaches, and it ended up, you know, the execution for the PvP side was that was a whole mess. But for PvE, it was really, really cool. And a lot of people really liked this mode. They liked it so much that Ubisoft spent who knows how long in development hell working on Extraction. We all know how that turned out. So why did a mode that was just a, you know, basically a side dish, a 3-month content patch that was here and gone, why was that received so much better than a fully dedicated release in the form of Rainbow Six Extraction? They spent all this money on it, and then what ended up happening? Well, sometimes more money allocated to a project means it'll turn out well, but as we've seen in the gaming industry, and especially the entertainment industry recently, that's not always the case.
What's going on? Why don't they like it? We spent $250 million on this.
This is why I called you, Your Highness.
So, yeah.
To explain why I think Outbreak was received so much better than Extraction, I think that people gotta understand the concept of sauce. Now, sauce is, by definition, a difficult thing to quantify, but if you know it, you know it. And Extraction, I don't think, had as much sauce as Outbreak. Here, you can see the scale of the alien invasion, and it's really big and grandiose.
Unthinkable. How can we be ready for that? And it could be just the tip of the iceberg.
We're trying to make a story that involves a select unit of people that are really good at what they do. So, the scale of this feels a little bit disjointed. This feels less like the plot for a Rainbow game and more like the plot for, you know, a big army movie. Which, again, nothing wrong with that, but trying to fit the Rainbow mold here, I guess, with this kind of, you know, big giant alien invasion thing, it wasn't what I think of when I think of Rainbow. Now, comparatively, here's something that's done on a much smaller scale and seems to hit a lot stronger.
We're still cool, ain't we? Yep.
This sequence has Close Encounters of the Third Kind written all over it. Outbreak was contained and to the point. What if an alien parasite crashed somewhere out west? This felt like a problem that Team Rainbow was particularly suited for, because Team Rainbow is something that would be really good at isolating precision sorts of missions like this. The stakes of the operation are high, the security clearance you'd need would be the highest, I'm assuming, But because the op feels a little bit more contained, it feels like something Rainbow is suited to dealing with. So even though it's not a typical sort of, get the big bad, stop them from nuking, the big city or whatever, this particular mission felt like something that was, fun to explore. What would Rainbow do in the event aliens invaded a small town? We also got fun little dialogue quips that said little things about the characters without sucking all the oxygen out of the room and drowning us in exposition. Despite the high stakes, Thermite has a moment where he's concerned about his slightly off-the-cuff presentation. Ash could give a shit and corrects him on some terminology.
So, we're gonna barbecue the nursery with these prototype nanothermite charges before it goes online. Can I say barbecue? Six won't care none, will she?
The target is a hot springs resort.
This short little back and forth says two things. Ash is a detail-oriented administrator, and although an engineer, Thermite believes in keep it simple stupid for the briefing. One back and forth tells me their personalities and how they're gonna approach the op. This little aside was a fun side dish for Siege. It gave me something else to do and let me have a co-op PvE experience with the Siege mechanics without feeling like it overstayed its welcome. Comparatively, various parts of Extraction constantly feel like it was trying to justify its own existence. This ending cutscene from Extraction feels more appropriate for a scenario in which something during an op went wrong and Ash feels responsible for making the call, so she's sulking a little bit. But then they start yapping about the parasite, and then it just really takes me out of it.
Sometimes I don't know if we'll beat this thing. It always seems one step ahead. But we're still here. That counts for something.
Look at how far we've come. Look at what we've achieved.
Absolutely. Every incursion gets us closer to beating it.
Can I say barbecue? Versus, yes, every piece of content consumed gets us closer. Outbreak was short, sweet, and to the point. It gave us a cast of characters that we cared about and some interactions that felt real and authentic. These cutscenes that I've shown you, out of all the cutscenes available, don't really follow a strict 3-act structure, because they wanted to lead into the gameplay as some of the environmental storytelling element. Short, sweet, simple, and to the point. It was self-aware, it understood what it was doing, and it didn't try to act outside of the constraints of what it was good at. What if aliens invaded New Mexico? How would Team Rainbow respond? Rainbow 100% has the capacity to do these kinds of episodic little content pieces that I think you could throw in on the side. Alibi has an entire undercover character arc where she's helping to shut down a human trafficking ring. The same one that's operating out of the villa that exists in Rainbow Six. At their worst, Ubisoft can make some of the most mid-video game schlock that takes you right out of the immersion that they're trying to sell. At their best, Ubisoft can leverage their budget to make some of the best atmospheric art you'll ever experience. If they just put the right people in the right places, I think they can do the same thing with Siege, because Outbreak is certainly proof of that. Anyway, make sure to reinforce this wall or you're a bad person. Thanks for watching. Deuces.